Can we welcome our last speaker for today, Alison Giraud-Saunders, Fiona Ritchie, and Anthony Fletcher. They're going to be talking about alternative to custody.
Thank you. We thought about what would be a good way to end the day, and so we thought, rather than making the presentation that we planned to you, we're going to change our plan a bit, if it's okay with you. I'm Alison Giraud-Saunders. And we thought there's been a lot done around prisons and about diversion from the criminal justice system, and you heard from Lord Bradley this morning about all the work that's been done under his aegis around liaison diversion. And you've heard a lot today from people working in different types of services that are especially for offenders. And there's a lot going on under the banner of transforming care for people with learning disabilities or people on the autistic spectrum. But we felt that there were some areas that had been less talked about and that we really need to think about if we want to reduce the numbers of people with learning disabilities in prison or in hospital. And so we chose to think about what would help to stop people getting into trouble in the first place. We thought about what would be alternatives to people being locked up, so alternatives to prison or to hospital. And we thought about what helps people to resettle successfully from prison or hospital. And we've collected together some examples of good practice in a paper that we've published. You'll find it on this website, based on a roundtable discussion we had last year when we were fortunate to have several people who'd been in prison, people with learning disabilities who'd been in prison, talk to us about their experiences and how they got there and what would have helped to get them out. So we were going to talk to you about some of the findings that we put in that paper and the questions that come out for us. You've got in your papers, in your delegate pack, some questions that we'd be really interested if you have answers to some of the good practice. But after the long succession of presentations that you've had today, we thought actually the time would be best spent to do a kind of Parkinson interview. Anthony was already coming to talk to you about his story. Fiona's going to do a bit of an interview with Anthony, and I'm going to sit in the front and try and take a photograph. That's my task.
All right. Okay. So, can you tell us, Anthony, a bit of background? Also, we'll just see what you do contribute.
Yeah. Hi. I'm Anthony. Basically, I was in care from 18 months. Yeah, 18 months. My mum put me in care, and my dad. And basically, then I was moved from pillar to post, foster care, everything. So it was about 10. I went to a unit, special unit, and about 6 months later down the line, they said you don't need to be in this special unit. Do you want to go to mainstream? And I thought okay, and I found it really hard in mainstream. I used to sit at the back and not really pay attention because I couldn't read or write at that time, but I got through it, and then I left school when I was 15, and I stayed with a friend, and it was about 2 weeks later, I was asleep, I had a knock on the door, and there was 2 police officers, a policeman and a policewoman, and they said, "You're under arrest," and I'm I was just gobsmacked. I didn't know my reaction, I'm just wow, and then they said, "Can you get dressed?" So because the photomics gate through the window, one stood at the gate. and one stood like at the door. So then I got dressed, and they didn't put no handcuffs on. And then I went to the police station, and they asked me all these sorts of questions. I was like, yes, 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 yes. I agreed, because I was half asleep. And then like I had to stop in like this police zone. That was really scary, because it was closed in, and all I heard is people like shouting and all that, and that really scared me. So like the next morning I went into like this room, and they asked me all questions, and I just agreed just to get out of there. And then like they gave me this letter saying you have to attend court. And so when I got outside, I just threw it in the bin. So I took no notice. And then it was about 2 weeks later, and there was a knock on the door saying, you've missed your bail condition, you have to go to court. I was like, okay. So I just like went to court, and like I got up in front of like the thing where you have to swear in the Bible, and I didn't want to swear in the Bible because at that time I didn't believe in God or anything like that. So like to me that was against my religion. So like I done it, and then like basically what happened then is I stood in front of the judge, and I was not paying attention. I was just looking around because I couldn't understand what the judge was saying. It's like a different foreign language, like words that I couldn't understand. And then like basically said, you're going to prison for 2 weeks. And then after like the solicitor came down and said, the reason you've been sent to prison because you wasn't paying attention, and the judge thought you was just like being rude and ignorant. So like then I went to prison, and that was the most scariest thing ever. Like the bit that scared me is like when I was in the shower, because I'd been abused and raped when I was 7 in a children's home. It brought back my memories. So like I just got on with it. And then like I came out of prison, and I didn't have no help at all. And basically what it was, I switched my phone on, and like my mum had just asked where I was, and I just said, I went away for 2 weeks, and my family still don't know that I've been in prison. And then like I rang my mum and said, can you pick me up for me? And she took me home. And then it was I went into a hostel with loads of lads, and like I did misbehave because I was rebelling against society. So then like about 2 to 3 years, about 8 years later, Caring, which is like a living support network who helps people learn difficulties in the community, came out to talk to me about moving into my own property. And they said, you've got a learning difficulty. And I'm like, pardon? They said, didn't you know? I'm like, no. And then a day later, they phoned me and said, can we talk to you privately? So I went to in Ballsy Green, that's in Birmingham, and they said, they explained and said, we can offer you a place now and then. So I had to move in a week, and if it wasn't for Caring, probably would have done more like crime, because I learnt more in prison than I did outside, and that was the most scariest thing for me.
So you got your own house?
Yeah.
What are you up to now, and how Caring supported you to?
Caring was supporting me because we do like a working for justice group, and that's like re-offenders. That's like who've been in prison or been in court. We meet once every 3 months, and that's in Birmingham. So that's what we do. We come and do group sessions. We do easy read now and all that. So Dave helped that. I've been there since 2006, so I'm one of the oldest members, and that's really, really good. And now we're doing training for prison officers, probation officers, and all that, and we go around and teach them about autism, Asperger's, and it's a day training, which is really good. But we actually teach them, and I think it was in 2009 I met Lord Bradbury, because we'd done the Bradbury report, and Lord Bradbury, and that was really good. I think it was no one trusts us. So and that's it really. But if it wasn't for Caring or working with Justice Group, I probably would have been back in prison, because they kept me on the narrow and straight.
And you've got some exciting stuff that you're doing now, haven't you?
Yeah.
What were you up to yesterday?
I take a person with in a wheelchair who can't come out. He's got cerebral palsy, and I take him to West Brom games. But I'm a Chelsea fan, unfortunately. So, it's like that. Like, so I have to go to the bank with him and make sure he's safe. So I'm looking forward to that actually, because it's But I get him free, but I don't do it because of that. I just do it because get him out in the community.
And all this work you're doing, you said to me today that you don't get paid for.
No.
So you're doing all this voluntary.
Yeah.
So what's your aspiration? What have you said to me today that you hope?
I want to become like a support worker with people with LD. I want to help them enjoy their lives, become a better person, because some of them can't get out in the community. So I want them to get out in the community and have a life. Any questions?
Hi, Anthony. Hi. Really interested to listen to your story. On the day of your arrest, what might have actually helped you, do you think?
The police, explaining why I've been arrested. Just coming in and saying, just sitting there and saying, do you want a cup of coffee or tea, and then just to wake me up a bit, and then just sit down and explain what will happen. That would have helped me. We're going to explain. We're going to have to take you to the police station. And ask me loads of questions the no then. So that would have been helpful then, just to explain why I'd been arrested and that, and to give my side of the story. Yes and no, because I had pride, I didn't want help, because I was embarrassed.
Anthony, do you think the training that you now offer to police officers is helpful, and do you think that they've changed?
Yes, it was about 5 years ago. I did one with Kieran, and basically it was time. It was time. Basically, what happened is they didn't know the time, so we changed it from analog to digital, and then because this was young offenders, so they never used to get in on time, used to not go for lunch on time, and then 3 months down the line they said how people have improved. So said everybody's on time now, youth offenders, and they said that was the most important thing that we ever taught them, time.
Thank you very much, Anthony, for sharing with us, and Fiona for interviewing. Not much interview. I will just run quite quickly through our remaining slides, as I think we have time. As I said, these were the questions that we were trying to look around and see what good practice there is that might help to answer the questions about what would help to stop some of the young chap like Anthony was, what would have helped to stop him getting into trouble. And that's one of the areas where I think that we've got some real opportunities, because if we think about the transforming care agenda, that's all about people with learning disabilities or people on the autistic spectrum who are described as having challenging behaviour. Those of you who were in Jonathan Beebe's workshop earlier, he was asking the question, well, what's the difference between challenging behaviour and offending behaviour? When does one become the other? And in the service model published after Transforming Care, there's a whole chapter on people who get into trouble with the law. And I think that there's been a lot of awareness raised about the need to think seriously. But a lot of the discussion has been about what do we do once people have got into trouble, once they've been in police custody, once they've been to court, once they've been in prison. And I think we're missing a trick because if we think from a more kind of public health perspective, think about some of the work public health are doing, the new guidance, for example, for school nursing about working with youth offender services. There's a chance to think about skilling up the services that work with children and young people and families to make them think more about people with learning disabilities or learning difficulties and what they can do to recognise when someone is beginning to get into trouble, what they can do to change that behaviour early on. And families so often talk about struggling to know what to do if they think that their son or daughter need to go off the rails a bit, but need to get into bad company. And they say, we don't know where to turn, we don't know where to get help and advice. And you hear the same from schools. Somebody made a comment earlier today about child and adolescent mental health services and sort of saying, where are they? And so often you hear people say, well, I don't even bother to refer somebody anymore to child and adolescent mental health services because I know that they're not going to be accepted, or I know there's going to be a long waiting list, or they might get seen, but then there won't be any help for them when they get there. So we were really interested to hear that there are some examples of good practice. There's a project in Northamptonshire called Be Amazing, which is all about supporting young people to gain skills, to gain self-esteem, to think about how their lives could be different. There are examples of learning disability nurses being attached to youth offending teams and having a lot of success in working with young people who started to get into trouble to help them think about how they could live their lives differently, what they can change. We know that there's the Children and Families Act and the potential for young people who meet the criteria to have an education, health and care plan that tries to join up support much better. And we need to make sure that not only young people with learning disabilities are included in that, but young people with learning disabilities who are getting into trouble. And we need to challenge the systems if they're not including people who need that kind of joined up support. So the other opportunity I think we have is there are a lot of services that work with young people who are getting into trouble, youth services and troubled families initiatives and all those kinds of services, that don't know much about people with learning disabilities. And if they come across somebody who doesn't understand very basic things, like your example, Anthony, of needing a digital watch to tell the time instead of one with hands that go around, really basic stuff like that, they need help to think about how to adjust their practice. And I think I did a piece of work in one of the London boroughs with the Community Safety Partnership and went and talked to people working in some of those frontline services with people who have been trouble with the law. And I went in with a prejudice, which I have to confess. I thought that they would be looking for chances to refer somebody they thought difficult. Someone in Glasgow called it the takeaway service. They were looking for somewhere they could send somebody so they didn't have to deal with them. Well, I was wrong, because what they were looking for was advice and support to do their jobs better. So I think we've got a real opportunity there to think about the kinds of advice and consultancy models of working, where the expertise of people like yourselves can help those kinds of people to do their jobs better. And if we're smart, those are the kinds of opportunities that we'll look for that can take up. So we'd love to hear about more examples of that kind of good practice. Likewise with alternatives to locking people up. We've given more examples in the paper, and again, there are some services that work with people with very complex needs, like those evaluated by the Making Every Adult Matter partnership, for example, like the link worker and wraparound schemes. But again, we'd love to hear about more. And probably today I've heard more about the kinds of programmes that might help people to resettle successfully from hospital or prison. But Anthony talked about not having support when you come through the gate, and there are the community rehabilitation companies now that are charged with helping people who've been in prison for even a day to make that transition more successfully. And some of them are thinking hard about people with learning disabilities. So the community rehabilitation company in London, for example, has a stream of work around people with learning disabilities and what they need to do, what they need to know in order to be able to support people with learning disabilities well. So I think there are encouraging signs. We need to be sharp to spot them and to make the alliances and find those people who want expertise, as I say, in order to do their jobs better, and encourage commissioners to join up systems so that people don't get passed from pillar to post and they don't fall through the gaps between services that say, no, that one's yours, this one's mine, and none of us want this one in the middle. So, as I say, in your delegate packs, we've set you some questions, and we'd love to hear from you with any more examples of good practice. And if we hope we'll hear about lots, and then we'd like to update our paper and circulate it again, because I think lots of people are looking for some practical examples that feel doable for them to make a start in their areas. So thank you very much.
Well, delegates, we've come to the end of the conference. You've all been given a pack. I'd like you to complete the evaluation questionnaire and leave it at the registration desk on your way out. I will take the last 5 minutes just to first thank staff from Dorset, from Southampton, Oxford, Berkshire, Buckinghamshire, and some in London, and managers for facilitating their staff to attend this conference. I would also like to thank all the presenters, and a special thank you for Anthony for being here. You are the only service user experience perspective we've given today. And without the presenters, today's program would have been meaningless. So thank you very much for all your contribution. Much appreciated. And last but not least, I'd like to thank some staff from the University of Hertfordshire, Maggie, Gamu, who were on the organising committee, also Carol Tolley, who's been behind the scene dealing with all the communication, the email, and Paul Mallory, who helped to chair the morning. So thank you very much for your attendance today, and I wish you a safe journey home.